So 2023 has been a year. Yeah, it's been a year. Most people have probably, if they're doing a looking back on 2023, have probably done it already. But this is currently, what date is it now? It is the 7th, so we're a week into 2023. And I thought now would finally be a good time to kind of look back. Not 2023, 2023 is now. Look back at 2022. Hopefully this is not a sign of what 2023 is bringing me, is that I've been sick since pretty much day one of 2023. And that's never a good start. But my hope is better things are happening, because 2022, even though there was some good, for sure, there was definitely some good. It was not a great year for me, I guess. So I figured I'd talk about it. Okay, so 2022, I'm going to get my years right. I'm going to get them right. Keep saying 2023. 2022 was the very first year that us, my family, have lived the full year, one full year, from January to January here in Nova Scotia. And if you would have asked me in March or April of 2022 if I was pleased, if I was happy with the move and the decision to move, yeah, I probably would have sided on the no. And not necessarily was I happy that I moved to Nova Scotia. I think it had to do more with moving to Nova Scotia and then moving into a small town where really, and this is the thing that I think a lot of people forget when they're moving, because during COVID, of course, so many people moved to Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia's population increased so much. I think it was the only province that had an increase in population over COVID, because a lot of people were like, hey, I can work from home, and the housing market, of course, was nicer in Nova Scotia than the majority of the rest of the country. So people were selling and buying here, which is what we did as well. And you can work remotely for a lot of us. So we did it, right? And my wife had a job in Halifax. So her days, her what she does throughout the day back in Ottawa to what she did here, really not very much different. She has a longer commute, for sure, sort of. Not really a longer commute that much time-wise, but distance-wise. So she went to work. She works with people. If she doesn't want to go to work, she can work from home, etc., etc. That's great, right? Me, though, I think this was the biggest thing, is that I moved from Ottawa, which is not a huge city, but it's a big city. And you know what? I knew a lot of people there. There was always things happening. Even if I just went outside, there was the kind of the bustle of the city. If I went somewhere, it was busy. You always saw people. There was things happening. If I wanted to go out with somebody, it was easy to pick up the phone and say, hey, let's go do something. Let's go to a movie. Let's go on a photo walk. I had a lot of friends out there that I could just pick up and say, let's go take pictures, which was awesome. And we moved, of course, in 2021 in the summer. And I think by March, April-ish of 2022, the isolation factor for me was in high gear. It was elevated like I've never experienced it before. And because of that, I even put out videos I think I'm going stir crazy. And I was just like, I don't understand what's going on in my head. Right. And I think a lot of that was me, I want to say, climatizing to the fact that I was no longer in that kind of environment anymore. And I was now in an environment that was so solitude all the time. right? And of course, Mary would come home from work, and the last thing she's want to do, because she's worked at her work for 8 hours, and she's driven for an hour there and driven an hour back, and she of course just wants to kind of relax, and I get that. And I think I was just slowly that isolation and solitude was just being like, you need to something needs to happen. So that was probably one of the biggest downfalls for me of 2023, and that took up, it took up a big chunk of 2023, is trying to figure out how to get out of that funk. I think it was. I finally ended up reaching out. I have to two things. I reached out onto a local Facebook group for the city that we live in, or town that we live in, or village, or community, or whatever you want to call it, and put out a, hey, we're new here, and because of that, I ended up meeting a couple people, which was great, and I have to hand it to the town itself. I think that the town realized that they had such a influx of new people moving in, that they actually did something and was like, hey, we're going to have a little community meetup where people can come in and meet people, and which was great. That was definitely helpful, because I ended up meeting some people there as well. And I think that for one started that progression out of that funk a little bit, because, we now have a couple of people that we hang out very regularly. And I think that has helped more than I can actually express, because you know what? Everybody talks about, I need to be away from people. I need to be away from people. I agree, but you can't be away from people forever. And I definitely needed that interaction with people, and now I have some people that can happen with. So thank you for that, and that has put me back on a little bit of a road to normality, I think. Now, the other thing that 2022 showed me was that here in Canada, especially here, at least in Nova Scotia, like, our medical system is completely broken. It's broken. It's 100% broken. I don't know how they're going to fix it. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, it's free. It's great. I appreciate the fact that I can see a doctor. If you can see a doctor, there's so many people here that don't have a family doctor. We have a family doctor. We were just super fortunate. But you can't get anywhere with them. You can't get anywhere with them. So again, when I was going through this mental challenge, two things kind of happened at the same time, right? I was going through this challenge of isolation, right? And of course, I was physically just sick. And I think one kind of played into the other. I was just physically sick. And anyway, I ended up getting a really bad sinus infection. That's kind of what I figured it was a sinus infection. And that happened in March or April, I think it was, of last year, 2022. I'll get the date right. And to this date, to today, which is, again, January 7th, it's still there. And I went to my doctor. I've actually talked to a doctor online out of Ontario. And the problem is of course, in Ontario, she would have me go in and get all the stuff done. But because I'm in a different province, she can't. And there's things in Nova Scotia that they won't do that they will do in Ontario. So, yay. She actually gave me this thing to take to the hospital so that they would do, I can't remember what it was, some kind of x-ray or something like that. And they're like, yeah, no, we don't do x-rays on people's heads. And I was like, but they'll do it in Ontario. And they're like, yeah, they'll do it in pretty much any other province, just not here. I'm like, sweet. So whatever's happening here, we just don't care about. Awesome. I appreciate that. So I ended up going back to my doctor, and they were just like, okay, well, we'll recommend you to a ear, nose, and throat specialist. Because that's where it's happening, right? It's constantly happening. Pressure is here all the time. Anyways, so she put me in with a specialist, and there's a 1.5 year wait. 1.5 year wait to see an ear, nose, and throat specialist. So I've passed the year. No, I haven't passed the year. That's not right. I'll pass the year in April. So there's a chance that I may be able to see her by like Christmas of this year. Maybe, if all goes well. Yeah. So then I was talking to the online doctor, and she was like, you know what, you should just get your doctor to see if they'll put you in for like a CT scan, because then they can see if there's anything else going on. Because if you've had like an infection for this amount of time, there could be some other things happening. And I was like, yeah, and I'd like to know and maybe see if we can get that fixed, because that would be great. So I went back to my doctor, and she's like, sure, we can get you in for a CT scan. I'll recommend that. And here's my first thing. Why would she not have recommended that, 6 months prior when I went to her in the first place? Why would you not be like, hey, let's get you in for this? And that's the other issue I'm finding with a lot of the doctors, is that you have to tell them what you want to have done, or they won't do it. They won't even recommend it. They're like, no. So I ended up going in there saying I wanted a CT scan, because the other doctor said you should go in and get that. So and I'm like, yep, sounds good. I'm down for whatever. Let's figure out what's happening here, because I'm not a fan of it. And 6 month wait. Yeah. So that was done in, I don't know, October maybe. So March, possibly. Again, if everything just smooth sailing, which that's going to happen. No. So I got the winter to deal with this, sinus issues and problems. So I don't know. That's 2022 for you. And it's going to be a bit of 2023 for sure. Now, positives. Well, let's stay with this part. Channel wise, let's talk about channel wise. It did good. I was worried in 2022 a little bit, because 2022 was the year that we did the name change, right? January 1st, we changed it from Cruising Canada, which it's been through its whole life, to my name, so Greg Toop, and made it maybe a little difficult, because anybody that was searching for the Cruising Canada stuff, there's a much higher chance that they weren't going to find it, or at least anything possibly new, because the channel didn't exist anymore. And we basically did the exact same number of subscriber growth as we did in 2021. So am I okay with that? Yeah. I would have loved to have seen some more growth. We got about the same amount of subscribers, but I think my hope is that 2023 is the year that we may see that, because that the channel name hopefully will have been out there a bit longer, and we'll see. Plus 2023, we hope to be able to do some extra stuff, maybe that can draw in some new attention to the channel, etc., etc. I don't know, and I'm always open for you guys to give me some recommendations to things that you think, hey, would be cool. For instance, I did have somebody, and it was actually last year that they said this, but it takes a while for me to figure out how to do it and how to do it well, and what I kind of would like to see out of it, and then try to implement it. That's something completely different. So we are currently, or will be currently, I think in the beginning of February, so maybe the first week of February, I'm going to take the first week, and I'm going to build my streaming station. So a YouTube streaming station. So I've got a desk. I've already got a chair, so that's fine. I know what laptop I'm going to be using for it right now. I've got one for sure, maybe 2 video capture cards. I've got a camera, 1 or 2 cameras that I know I'm going to be using for it. I've got an audio capture card, all kinds of stuff. We should be good. I'm hoping to get a new monitor for it. We have this new setup. I've got a mic that just arrived that I got to test, so maybe that'll become the new mic for it. And then my hope is to have like one day a week do a live. Maybe it's a 20-minute live, maybe it's an hour-long live. I don't know. But I think it would be cool, because I do enjoy that, because it does give me, for one, some sense of community with the channel, which is great, and you guys get some input, and I get to hear from you, and we can use that to kind of modify things that are happening. Yes? Yeah. 2, which I actually really like too, is we do, like I do. I always say we, because Mary and Harley help every once in a while, but we put out 1 video, sometimes more, sometimes 2 videos a day, and that takes up a fair bit of work. And the thing is that we review pretty much almost anything. Now we do say no to a lot of companies that are like, hey, you should take a look at this dog collar. And I'm like, I don't even have a dog. How am I supposed to? You get what I'm saying? But we review anything from cameras to adapters to whatever. It doesn't really matter, as long as it's kind of techie, right? But we were super happy. This is a big positive. Super happy that we had some bigger companies reach out to us in 2022. So we had Huawei, which was a huge company with us, and we still if Huawei, if you're watching this, we wanted to thank you so much because you provided us with with a monitor. You provided us with some earbuds, smartwatch. You provided us with 2 laptops, which was fantastic. And one of those laptops is going to be what we use for our streaming station. They were huge for us. And the last one, which kind of snuck in at the end of the year, was Sony. And Sony actually was like, hey, we're going to send you this camera. We're going to send you this set of earbuds. And that I think was another huge perk. And for me was just a big, maybe I'm doing okay. Maybe I've got some attention. So that was also good. I got the sniffles. I apologize. It is what it is. Last but not least, I think my hope was in 2022 by the end of the year was to hit 50,000, which didn't happen. We were 3,000 short because again, our subscriber growth was on par with the year before, and we didn't see increase. If we would have saw that increase, we would have had a better chance of hitting it. But we'll hit it this year. 100% we'll hit it this year. We're only 3,000 and change when I make this video away from it. So my hope is that we will hit it sometime in the early summer, late spring of this year. Somewhere in there we'll hit it. And I am currently trying to reach out to a company or two to see if they will hopefully partner with us to try to put together a giveaway so that we can give you guys something back in return for hitting 50,000. Because that would make, honestly, I think that would make my 2023 just tres good. Oh yes. So yeah, 2022, I don't want to say it was a complete disaster because it wasn't. Oh yeah, I got COVID in 2020. We all got COVID in 2022. So that was fantastic, but I've been there. I've experienced it. I didn't like it. It wasn't great by any means. And if I get it again, I'll be able to live with it, deal with it. I know what to expect, I think, to a point, even though it seems to want to change itself all the time. But that happened, so that's cool. But this year, 2023, let's talk about positives. Hitting 50,000. Yes, that's going to happen. Guaranteed that's going to happen. Unless something completely, if the wheels get pulled out from under me, then maybe not. But as far as I know right now, it's happening. You guys need to just keep supporting me, and I appreciate that, right? Travel. That's a big one. And it may not be, our travel videos don't necessarily do like, ooh, look at how great the travel, because they're not a travel channel, right? But for me, it's really good because it gives me time to get a little bit out of my head and to be a little bit more creative with photography and video and stuff like that, because I do love it. So, we're going to Costa Rica. When you guys see this, we are really close to going. And we have a couple more trips coming up. And it's weird to say, it's not Mary and I. Hold on. So yeah, a couple more trips coming up. So in June, and I've talked about this before, in June, me and some guys that I've met here in Nova Scotia in 2022. So awesome. Thanks, guys. We're going to Laconia. So for those of you that watch the channel for some of the motorcycle stuff, Laconia is a big motorcycle rally in New Hampshire, and it's their 100th year anniversary. So we're going there for the week. So you can be sure a lot of videos are going to come up from that. I'm again trying to see if I can partner with some companies to do some giveaways while we're actually in Laconia. I kind of want to make it like a scavenger hunt, like where am I? And the first person to find me on X day, we'll give them something. You know, could be something little, could be something big. I don't know. It's just a thought I have in my head. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it won't. I'm not sure. But it would be cool to meet any other riders that are out there that are at Laconia. So I'm excited for that. In August, Harley and I are going to Montreal for a 3-day, 4-day trip because we're seeing Metallica. Yeah, her and I are going to Metallica. She's super excited. I kind of got the tickets for her birthday because she's turning 18 this year, so I figured it would be awesome for her and I to be able to go see Metallica. Mary doesn't want to go; she's not a big Metallica fan, but Harley and I, so that's cool. Last but not least, for sure, sometime throughout this year, I don't know when, I'll be heading out to Alberta, and that's really more of a go visit my family. And I think, depending on the price of tickets, we're just waiting to see if we can find anything. And the nice thing about working for yourself, which is, again, a blessing that being able to work on a YouTube channel has given me, is I can just be like, hey, there's tickets from this date to this date that I can afford. They're a really good price. I'm just going to book them and go. And I don't have to ask anybody if I have to take any time off, right? I just say I'm going. So that's been really, really helpful. So we're going to go visit my mom. And it could be just me, could be me and Harley, could be the whole family. I don't know. But that's happening. That's it. 2022, I'm kind of glad you're done with. I'm super excited. It sounds it, right? I'm super excited. I'm excited to see what 2023 is going to bring. I am. I really am. And we'll do another one of these videos 2024. Isn't that weird to say? We're almost at 2025, a quarter of the way through the century. Did I get that right? Is that the century? You know what I'm saying. All right, my friends. I still got a cold. We're going to Costa Rica when I'm filming this in it's like 12 days, I think it is from now, something like that. Well, we're flying to Montreal. Expect some videos of that trip for sure. That's it. I need to rest. And we'll see you guys next video. All right, my friends. 2023. Let's see. Later.